Small habits that steal your peace. Have you ever noticed how some sins do not crash into your life like a storm? They sneak in like a whisper? You don't even realize they've taken root until you look back and realize your joy is weaker, your prayers are shorter, and your heart feels farther from God than it used to. Question: which small habit have you been excusing because it feels normal? We are going to talk about 7 everyday behaviors that Christians sometimes normalize, but the Bible calls sinful. 1. Gossip. Let's start with gossip. Sometimes gossip doesn't sound like sin. It sounds like concern. It sounds like, I'm just asking questions, or I'm praying about it, or you should know what happened. But here's the spiritual problem. Gossip spreads division. It breaks trust. It plants doubt. And even if we pretend it's for someone's good, gossip often feeds our curiosity more than our compassion. The antidote? Pause before you speak. Before you respond, before you repeat, before you just share, ask yourself, is this true? Is this helpful? Is this building up or tearing down? And if it is not clearly for the purpose of love, choose prayer instead. Even one sentence of prayer can change the direction of a conversation. 2. Complaining and grumbling. This is common that it can feel like part of life. But the Bible repeatedly shows that a complaining heart reflects a deeper issue: lack of gratitude. Grumbling says, God isn't enough. Complaining says, what I have isn't good. And before long, you start seeing life through disappointment instead of faith. But there's a reset. It's not denial. It's not pretending things are fine when they aren't. It's intentionally replacing the mindset. Try this. When you catch yourself complaining, stop and thank God for anything real. Thank Him for what's still working. Thank Him for the lesson. Thank Him for the strength you didn't have yesterday. Gratitude doesn't erase problems, but gratitude realigns your perspective. 3. White lies. Now, white lies. The kind we tell to avoid conflict. The kind we say to keep the peace. The kind we throw out to please people. But a lie is still a lie, small or not. And lying damages integrity. It creates spiritual misalignment because your life begins to split into 2 versions: what you say and what you mean, what you believe and what you perform. Embrace honest, gentle truth-telling. Being honest doesn't mean being harsh. Truth can be spoken with kindness. Next time you feel the urge to soften reality into a lie, ask, can I say the truth in a way that honors God and respects people? When you choose truth, you protect your character and you protect your walk with God. 4. Envy and comparison. Fueled by social media, comparison can become a quiet addiction. You start watching other people's lives, measuring your progress against their highlights, and then you wonder why your spirit feels heavy. Comparison doesn't just discourage you, it distracts you from your calling. Envy says, God's promise for you isn't enough. Comparison says, their life is better, so yours must be lacking. But the way forward is simple, yet powerful. Bless others and focus on God's work in your own life. You don't need to compete with someone else's assignment. Your job is to be faithful with your own season. 5. Holding on to offense. This is dangerous because offense feels justified. Sometimes you were hurt, sometimes you were wronged, sometimes it's real pain, but unresolved offense becomes a breeding ground for bitterness. Bitterness doesn't stay contained. It leaks into your prayers, your relationships, and your mood. Choosing to forgive is essential, even when it's difficult. Forgiveness isn't pretending it didn't happen. Forgiveness is refusing to let the pain control your future. It's handing your need for justice over to God and trusting Him to heal what you can't repair alone. 6. Neglecting prayer. Now, neglecting prayer. Many believers treat prayer like a crisis-only tool. You pray when it's urgent. You pray when it's desperate. You pray when the situation is bigger than you. But the problem is you can't grow spiritually on emergency prayers alone. Prayer is communion. Prayer is nourishment. Prayer is the place where you remember who God is and who you are in Him. The answer? Consistent prayer checkpoints throughout the day. Not just someday, not just when things get bad, but little moments with God. Try something like, morning. God, guide my day. Midday, God, strengthen my mind. Evening, God, search my heart. Small rhythms become spiritual lifelines. 7. Justifying sexual sin. This is where culture tries to blur the lines. Lust is normalized. Pornography is excused as entertainment. Premarital sex is marketed as just love, just chemistry, just modern. But sin doesn't become holiness because society approves it. The Bible's call is clear. Set boundaries, fight temptation, and seek accountability to pursue purity. If you're struggling, don't isolate yourself. Get support. Let trusted people help you walk in freedom. Purity isn't weakness. It's power under God's authority. Here's the takeaway. Choosing holiness in these seemingly small, everyday matters prepares you for greater spiritual breakthroughs. Because transformation rarely begins with massive events. It begins with awareness. It begins with surrender. It begins when you say, God, I don't want my habits to weaken my faith. And when you choose to align your life with God's truth, gossip stops. Complaining softens. Lies lose their grip. Envy fades. Offense loosens. Prayer becomes a lifestyle. And purity becomes a path, not just a wish. So let me encourage you. You don't have to be perfect to start. You just have to be honest with God. And then take the next step. Stay grounded in the truth. Do not forget that God is preparing you for more than you can currently see.